Good morning. How are you, Steve?
Good morning.
It's been a while.
It has. I forget all the things that have gotten in our way. Has it been like 3 weeks?
Something like that. Almost a month, maybe. I don't know.
I miss you.
Now, you bad news. My Catacombs and Comedians coffee mug broke,
Did
so I'm using the Catacombs and Comedians travel mug.
you throw it across the room in rage?
No, it just developed a little crack down the side that slowly started leaking. So,
Undoubtedly a time for a new line of mug merch from Dan.
yep. Yeah, very few of these were produced. I produced them for my first crew of comedians for a Christmas gift for a holiday party I threw, and none of them showed up for it. Comedians.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're an unreliable group.
They thought they were in the right place.
So anyway, but I've got a whole new batch of comics now who I love dearly, like family, and everything's all good. So, in fact, I will be playing with some of them at Catacombs Comedians at Helium Comedy Club in Indianapolis the night before Gen Con kicks off.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. This is my first show at a comedy club where I didn't already have an in to convince them to say, hey, let me try this Dungeons and Dragons show with stand-up comics.
That's great, right?
Yeah.
It's the momentum. You've got a track record. It's awesome.
And it's the night before Gen Con, so I think they understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's a target-rich environment for them to get customers, which is great. You're also going to get eyeballs on you from people who you haven't had to kind of like hand flyers to. It's
right.
It's a different crowd.
So totally looking forward to that. I don't know how well ticket sales are going. I've got emails out to them saying, hey, here's what I got to do for my show. By the way, what are the ticket count? But I have no idea yet. So hopefully it's good. I also have the 2 upcoming shows at Gen Con itself, which I am able to follow ticket sales, and they're getting up there. I think, and they're large. I got large rooms, like one sits at 125 and one sits 100, I think.
Wow.
So, but I tell you, it is tough putting that show together. Condolences. I'm sorry you didn't get nominated for an Emmy.
Robbed? No, I think I told you before. Now that I had a year's worth to learn what the Ennies are, the books that came out last year, amazing. The books that are coming out this year, amazing. I think it's like Shadow Dark is basically ran the table. I feel like it's a really rough year, and not a lot of 5e stuff in the Ennies this year. Not a lot at all.
I didn't check them out too much. I know Chaosium's, Call of Cthulhu got a whole lot.
Yep.
And you mentioned Shadow Dark, which is great.
Eat the Reich got a lot of nods too.
But I just scanned the list quickly for you. And you found out you weren't there. I wish. I mean, not only do I wish you had gotten nominated again because you do great work and you're deserving of it, but it would make my life so much easier if I had you as talent to be part of my show.
I thought you have everything locked down.
It is tough getting my Friday 6:00 show.
Right, because there's so much competition at that time.
I'm still trying to finalize. I've got backup plans. Cool. Well, I don't want to say backup plans. I've got contingencies.
Yeah, it's tough because you basically have to ask 8 people, and it's not like you don't want to say you're my second choice. It's just more like that's a really weird booking situation to be in.
Yeah. I mean, because honestly, the way I book these shows is I went to the ones I know, who are truly friends in the industry that I know. Matt Forbeck, for one.
Sure.
And he's like, yes, I'm on board for this one. He's not doing both of them. So I asked but like John Kovalik, who I love dearly, he's not going to be at the show, so he's not, but John Kovalik will be represented at the Catacombs and creator shows, and I'll get to that later. But yeah, just going down the list, and then I'm trying to find, and a lot of them are like, let me check my schedule, and then they never get back to me.
Right.
A lot of people are just like, no, I pass on Gen Con because it's, in the comic book industry, I remember passing on Comic-Con because it's just too much. I can't.
Sure.
So I don't begrudge any of these people except maybe the ones that don't answer their emails. I'm a very panicky guy, and it's been a while since I've talked to my therapist other than you, and it's been a while since I've talked to you. You're my second therapist. But it's just when I don't get a reply from an email, I'm like, okay, crap, they hate me. They know me and they hate me, so they're not going to reply to me.
Let's explore that. So how long after the let's put a pin in that for a second. Who the hell are you, Dan?
I'm Dan Taylor, and I hope you don't hate me. I am the producer, showrunner, and most of the time dungeon master of Catacombs and Comedians and Catacombs and Creators. It's an actual play Dungeons and Dragons type show, live on stage, front of a live audience at comedy clubs and conventions. And I'm also working, creating tabletop RPG and D&D content to go along with that, and just to tickle my own fancies.
A fancy tickler, if you will.
Yeah. I got a .com.
I'm pretty sure that one's taken.
Who the hell are you, Steve?
I the hell am Steve Conley. I write and draw the webcomic The Middle Age, which you can read at middleagecomic.com, which just celebrated its 8th anniversary of me putting out my own fancy ticklings. It can be read on Webtoons and Tapas and Go Comics on my own website at middleagecomic.com. And that's led me into making role-playing game stuff, mostly entirely for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, the 2014 stuff, including the Emmy-nominated Intoximancy, the Emmy-snubbed Death Dealing, and the future Emmy-snubbed The Prayer's Handbook, which and I'm working on Nibblemancy now, which was recently crowdfunded. But that's who the hell I am. But getting back to your question, how long after you send an email until they respond? What's the time period between I've sent the email, they haven't responded? Is it like, if I don't hear from them by tomorrow, is it an hour? Is it?
No, it's probably realistically, yes.
Yeah. No. Yeah, realistically.
But I understand 20. I give the standard 24 hours. Is when I start to really panic.
Right.
72 hours is when I'm like, oh, they really hate me. But
isn't that it? But because I'm getting like flashbacks of being like, did I miss their call? Should I call them again? Hey, did you call? Were you calling? I stepped away from my phone for a second. That Albert Brooks. So is there an approach when you're trying to schedule an event that's wrangling so many comedians and or creators that you're like, let me just invite 8 people, and if all 8 people say yes, we're gonna have a big show? Or is that too dangerous a prospect?
I think that's too dangerous of a prospect. A lot of I do comics and creators differently. Comics, I'll reach out. I don't throw the net out as far for the comics. Except maybe for the first time, I did the show. But then again, I went through other channels. I asked the booker at the comedy club, hey, do you know comics who would be interested in this? Now when I talk to comedians to see if they want to be on Catacombs and Comedians, it's more going through other comedians I know or have already been on the show. Hey, do you know who else would like to be on the show?
That makes sense.
Who do you think would make a good sense? So that's because I have found my crew that I really like now. But with creators, like I was saying, I go to all the friends I know well, or the people in the industry. Hey, so and so, and then I go to friends of friends. Like, okay, they're they know Matt, so I'll ask them. Hey, Matt's been on my show before. Would you like to be on my show? And then I should just start looking for names that, okay, you're going to be at that convention. Like I'll go down the special guest list.
Right.
I go, okay, I could ask them. Okay, I've talked to them before. Oh, they look like they'd be a good fit. And I go that route. And then it's just so now, like if I still haven't got everybody, I'm like, oh, I just found out they're going to be there. I'll throw them a quick email, or But some of these people, and I know everyone's busy for Gen Con. I understand that. I'm super busy, getting ready for Gen Con. But I've been throwing this net out months ago.
Right.
And some people are like, let me get back to you. And I'm like, hey, it's coming up. Have you gotten, I still don't know yet, and I'm like, just, if you hate me, just, tell me you hate me and you don't want to be on my damn show.
So you think it's a case of what is the best case scenario for someone who hasn't responded to you that you could, because are you like, I fight it, I'll come up with a narrative. I'll cook up a fan fiction about why they're not responding to me, or why they're holding out for another invitation and I'm their backup plan. Or is there something like that that's cooking that makes matters worse? Or is it just kind of like, I'm trying to get this thing done, I'm trying to put butts in seats? Are you looking at this from a feeling point of view, or from a technical mechanical point of view?
Yes.
Okay, both. Yeah.
Feeling is what affects me the most, I think, though. Because just to use an example, Ed Greenwood, he's been on my show before. He's a great guy. He's obviously too busy for Gen Con. So I won't, but we're already planning to hopefully get him on Gary Con or Gamehole Con. That's awesome. Already in the works. But he's already, that damn Tommy Gafton's got his hooks in him so good. It's hard to get.
Yeah. Greenwood's in demand figure.
Yeah. But other people, I come up with a different scenario for everyone. Like I'll reach out to somebody, who, I don't know. I'm not, I don't want to sugarcoat or use, mention any names or anything, because
no one's watching.
But like, let's say, like, I want to get this person on board. Let's say they're a member of, the LGBT group, or, a female creator, or a person of color, and then they're like, well, I've never really heard of Dan Taylor. I don't know Dan Taylor. Let me look him up. And they look me up, and I'm like, oh, look at this D&D grognard. I don't want any part of this guy. And so I think that might be a problem, and it may very well not be, or I'll reach out to another creator and they're like, I've never heard of you, so I'm not going to bother replying to you.
And these are all just things you're cooking up.
Yeah. I've got no evidence, no true, knowledge of how the other people think. And I don't want to, put thoughts in other people's minds or whatever. It's just, I suffer a lot from imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough to be doing this. Why the hell am I doing this? I remember, and it was with my comic book too, back in trying to break into the comic book industry. But, Hero Happy Hour or Superhero Happy Hour was kind of a one-hit wonder standout. And I was able to chisel my way through and get in the industry and editing, Transformers and Star Trek for, IDW, like with artists like you. But now I'm trying to establish myself in the tabletop RPG community or industry, both. And it's just, I find it's an uphill battle. I mean, it's tough. It may have been easier doing it in comic books than it is
really
in tabletop RPGs. I mean, yeah, I could just publish, crap and put it out on, if that was my goal, and put it out on drive-through and all that sort of stuff. But that's not my goal.
Right.
My goal is to, almost be an ambassador or voice for Dungeons and Dragons, and, and we've joked about how I want to be D&D famous, and right. I do,
Right.
But I'm not going to make it rich.
So and that's the thing, that because that achieving that D&D fame and achieving that, what would be an indicator of that? Like someone saying, Dan, I really want to be part of your next show, coming up to you and going to the other side of that.
Yes. Or somebody saying, Dan, I really want you to be a part of this show.
Right.
Or Dan, I want you to interject some of your humor into this next product.
It's so interesting right now. There seems to be, I saw this with tons of videos and discussions of like RPG creativity and how all the YouTubers are having these gangbuster Kickstarters, like and YouTubers with what would be modest success in almost every other creative field. It's still 100,000 subscribers is a big deal. I mean, that plaque behind people for the YouTube plaque, that's serious business. But the idea that people are turning their social media clout into Kickstarter success, and the people who are in the trenches making the drive-through RPG stuff, making their own stuff, and have been game creators for quite a long time. They've been game designers. And now you have people, doofs like me, who come in with a bit of an audience from the comic book world, or doofs on the internet who have a YouTube channel, spouting off there. Should we have a run sheet? Should we should we have a list of these are the topics we're going to hit, and we're going to come to it with our thoughts well prepared. And when we're going to hit the question, okay, there's a new CEO of Hasbro. Let's talk it out. What do we, no, we're not.
There's enough of those.
I feel like this I want to say this cannot gain an audience.
We're not going to sell out.
No, but I'm having fun. This is how I approach every project I do. It's like, is it fun? Cool. And we'll do it till life intrudes. Basically, that's what it comes down to. At some point, you're going to be like, Steve, my kids got dance practice every Saturday morning, or something like that, or. Steve, I've decided to start taking skydiving classes Saturday mornings. Something's going to happen. But we'll do this as long as we can, and I'm going to have a great time until anyway. So I don't know when is it that point where the imposter syndrome goes away?
I don't know.
Are you an imposter?
Maybe when Wizard sends me the new player's handbook.
Fair enough. Are you an imposter? I have to ask you.
Probably a doppelganger, a mimic,
a changeling. What is it? Because I asked, I've heard someone said that I'm feeling imposter syndrome. I say, well, are you an imposter? And they're like, well, you fake it till you make it, right? There's that kind of like, our instructions is to be an imposter until we're no longer an imposter.
I think my train of thought, or my soul or whatever, is I am an imposter until I'm not.
Until you're not. Yeah, I can see that for sure. I feel that in comics, because not that I'm an imposter, I will say that, but there is a pantheon of comics gods, a Olympus that I will not be able to climb. No, that they're and being happy. That's okay. Let's get real personal. I was mentioning this to my ex, and it was I said she thought she was marrying the acorn that would become the mighty oak, and I was like, I'm a happy acorn.
Yeah.
I feel like that's my whole thing. I'm not pretending to be an oak, and I'm really happy as an acorn. There's less imposter syndrome, but it requires, I guess, lowering expectations a lot.
If I wanted to be famous, I wouldn't choose D&D.
Right. You're not trying to be noticed in people in the supermarket running up to you or something like that.
Right. And by famous, it's just, that's our way of just saying be acknowledged for our contributions.
Yeah, and there's a practicality. I see the practicality of that, like saying you're being invited as a guest to a show, so suddenly you're not paying for a hotel room, or you're given a free table or whatever.
That would be awesome. In fact, one of the upcoming cons, I know I'm not there yet, but keep me in mind to be a guest.
It's great.
And I don't mind, struggling and climbing the ladder and doing all this. It's kind of fun in a way. And, it's like buying a lottery ticket. When you buy the lottery ticket, you're already spending, the millions of dollars you're going to win in your head. Um, but it's, I mean, and part of it is jealousy. Let's be honest. I see other people out there, succeeding in what I want to succeed in, and I go, really?
Oh, it's okay. Let me ask that. Let me ask this. I see this in the comics world among aspiring creators who in their minds have not made it. And I mean, I think objectively you could say most, given what their goals are, they're definitely haven't made it, because they have goals that are way loftier than where they're at. And a lot of them will look at the worst comics being produced and go, I'm better than that. And I was never like, no, you've got to look at the best stuff and go, how do you compare to that?
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, is there a person in this business that you're looking at, you go, I like what they do, I like how they did it, and I think that's a model for how I can do the same thing, and I have the tools necessary to follow that same path? Or are you blazing your own trail?
Let's just say I don't follow their path exactly, but I do take notice of what these trailblazers do or whatever, and I see, okay, how can I do it without outright, copying them, or because I always want to add my own bit of Dan to everything, so to speak.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't, and part of me is like, I don't have it in me to do some of the things that those people do. I mean, believe it or not, Steve, I am not an outgoing person. I hate looking ridiculous. And so when I go out on stage, or even talking with you and we share it with, the interwebs, I'm on pins and needles right now. I mean, I love talking to you, and that's great. It
helps that no one's watching and you can delete the video with a button.
Yeah. But I'm on stage, or I'm in front of the con, or if I'm walking up to, Luke Gygax or Ed Greenwood, or Chris Perkins, saying, hey, I'm just this guy doing this thing, and I want to kind of be like you in your circles. That's terrifying.
Yeah, I would imagine, because so much of, what if they don't like me?
Oh yeah.
And then suddenly I'm out of the group, and suddenly not only am I out of the group, there's no way into the group.
Yeah, like what if one of them goes, this Dan character keeps bugging me about being on a show, and he goes, I know.
Right. Someone said, how do you succeed? Someone was saying, in comics, how do you succeed? And I'm like, you get rich. It's like that is the only unequivocal way to do it, because it's like, people may not like your artwork, but if you're rich, they're gonna be like, well, he succeeded. People go like, I don't like Todd McFarlane's work, but they're like, well, he did, they will overlook a lot. The idea that if there's a pecking order, and there absolutely is, you have to have more clout, fame, success than the person you're dealing with for it not to feel like an ask.
Yeah.
Right. It's because if that's how they view the world, if they're a generous person who doesn't view the world that way, I think I don't view the world in those terms. But if you're approaching a person who does view it in those terms, then anyone who is below them in the pecking order wants something. They want some of your energy, clout, whatever. And anyone above you are the only people worthy of your time. And those people, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? How do you get?
That's exactly like, if I'm going up to a known name in the industry, to be on my show, I would like it, rather than it for me requesting or asking them, for it to come across as a suggestion about how cool would it be if you were in my show? Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Right.
That makes sense, rather than, I'm begging you to please be on my show.
Yeah. You much rather like see them in the audience and say, next time you got to be up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
And that, I think when I say D&D famous, I just want to be known in such an aspect where, oh yeah, I've, because like one of the creators I asked said, I'm going to have to pass on this opportunity.
Mhm.
And it was just a text or a message or an email or something like that. But those were the words, and that just came across as so condescending to me.
Really?
But just this that I'm going to have to pass on this opportunity. But that was me taking it wrong. That's all on me. Because
Yeah.
later I saw their schedule and I'm like, oh yeah, there's no way you could have fit me in there.
Right. And viewing it as an opportunity wasn't like, get out of here, kid. You bother me. Take me off this list.
Yeah, it sounded like but somebody else who I asked who's been around in the industry forever was like, hey, I've heard great things about your show. This sounds awesome. Let me see if I can rearrange my schedule. And they were unable to, but I appreciate their enthusiasm.
Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to somebody I email and then every week I said, hey, just following up again. Have you given any thought, And then on the fourth, my fourth, follow up, they go, oh, no, I can't do it. Thanks.
I love that response that they gave you. I've heard about it. I've heard great things. Let me see if I can rearrange my schedule. I think that's a takeaway. So far that's this episode's takeaway. That's how we respond in the future. Anyone who ever asks us.
And they would have been a great fit. They would have got it. They're known for their humor in the D&D, and so I'm definitely going to get them on the show later.
And it's a thing where, at the very least, you've opened up a communication with all these people. Every one of these emails is a chance to go, to follow up later.
And I'm going to be honest, I swung for the fences on some of these people.
Sure.
But it still kind of hurts me not to get a sorry, no thanks.
Yeah.
I try to get back to every email, text message, comment, direct message, or whatever involving Catacombs and Comedians in my, D&D and tabletop role-playing game, world. If it's somebody from Huntsville who saw the show says, when are you coming back? I says, I don't know, but I'm working on it, rather than just be silent on it. And also a problem I have, and we are now. I'm going to say I consider you a great friend. I mean, we've shared a room together and ate breakfast together.
I'm still not going to answer your emails, Dan.
But that's why I got your phone number now. So. But after our first interaction, and I'm not counting about me being editor for you in Star Trek or anything like that, but doing this kind of stuff and talking, where I invited you, hey, why don't we do this? After the first time, I instantly says, now we are friends. We are brothers, Sure. While you made very much of just gone, we're acquaintances and I can do this every now and then. And that's with everybody who's been on my show. I'm like, Ed Greenwood and I, we are friends now.
That's great.
It might not be his thought.
I think it's a lovely thought.
He might just be, I'll help Dan out whenever I can.
He's not going to take you to the airport, but yeah, it's like, I totally.
Steve, I would help you hide a body or move a couch.
That's very kind of you. I'll talk to you more about that after the show.
That's on me, and I got to talk to my therapist. I shouldn't attach myself to people so much when I just, when there's just this.
Yeah, I guess that does make you vulnerable to the person who you may have, if you invest too much or put too great an expectation on them. I could see that backfiring sometimes, but I think it comes from a lovely place.
It does, but it comes from it causes a lot of discomfort on my end.
And it can also make people uncomfortable if they're not the kind of,
yes,
if they're much more standoffish or reserved.
It's because this will be anybody I meet at a con, and I'm talking, an industry person or someone above the the tier ahead of me or something. I say something and they chuckle at it. I'm like, we have an inside joke. We are bonded. We are,
You're monitoring every micro expression. And
and it's rough on me when I'm emailing them 6 months later saying, hey, do you want to be on my show? And they don't reply.
Right.
And that, again, that's all on me, and it's something I need to figure out how to control or, mold in, so where it's not so devastating, when I don't hear back from these people, or they brush me off, or
Are there, okay, let's assume that if the tiers of BS, if people are people, are there people in the tiers that are any other aspiring creators who you are inviting to the table as people who you are able to, apart from you're able to give a leg up to, in a way that suddenly you're inviting Ed Greenwood and you're going to be like, okay, there's this kid, they're just starting out, they're setting up their first show and they've got their first RPG book, I'm going to invite them to the group as well. Like that sort of, like, I'm going to lift them up, and as Ed is lifting me up in terms of the hierarchy.
I don't feel like I'm at the position to lift anyone up yet, and maybe I should explore that more.
Well, I mean, that's I think that can be a realistic. I also think that it's a thing where you might be a Game Hold 10, but you're a Gen Con 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It can be that kind of thing where you're like, well, in this community, I rate here, and in this community, I'm better.
And I don't know, I think I'm maybe a 4 all around.
But there's definitely a thing where I know at comic conventions, I know that there were some conventions where I click here, this is my crowd, a SPX or a Baltimore Comic Con, way more my crowd than a Pittsburgh Comic Con ever was. Like, I can't. I mean, I'd say be set up at Pittsburgh Comic Con with exactly the same stuff, exactly the same everything. Everything about me is identical to where it was someplace else, and it's not landing here because of the crowd and that community, that particular audience. And so that might just be part of every convention where, I mean, apart from the logistical problem of Gen Con, where everyone is, there might be holding out their Friday night invitation from you because they're like, please get invited to this one dinner that I can make a deal and that's going to change my life and let me buy a house. We don't know the calculations that those creators at their level are going through.
True. But again, if I sat next to them at a table at like a zine swap and we talked for 30 minutes, I assume they're my best friend and they should be
Yeah, I get that.
That's my problem.
Right. And at least responding if they can. And you don't want to be a nudge. You don't want to have to go, hey, just checking in again. Hey,
right.
Just checking in again.
But I just don't want to let it float off either, you know. So anyway, so I'm dealing with that with Gen Con. The shows are looking good. I mean, my first show's great, and and everyone who's agreed to be on my second show, they are fantastic people.
And can you get by with 3 guests?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not like if somebody cancels, it's not the end of the world.
No. And I've also got comics in my back pocket. That's where I can bring up a comedian, and joining these 3 creators will be this comedian,
Perfect.
So I'm safe. I'm safe all around. It's just hard. Hopefully in a year or two, when people more understand my show and what I'm trying to accomplish, and they've done this, they're like, well, I hope Dan asked me to be part of the show. I'm going to keep this slot open,
Sure.
But it's just great. And of course when I put my hat on as a marketer, I'm like, well, of course I want all these big names because that'll get butts in the seat. And that's why I might be, heading more their direction than saying the guy with the copper bestseller on, DM's Guild.
Yeah. I get you. And that makes total sense because at the same time, it's like you have a trajectory that you want to go on. And if you ever go, Steve, I'm having you sit this one out, it makes sense to me because the idea that the connection you make and the proof of concept, you've proven it to me. You get to prove it to another person how good the show is. And then that helps you grow the next time around because they're going to be like, have you heard of this Dan Taylor guy? I'm like, oh yeah, I was part of his show. I was in the audience. It was amazing. The more you can grow and the more people you can have. There's some comic show promoters I know, and they're like, they want to get this big name every single year. And the big name is like, I can't do your show every year. I can only do a certain number of shows, and I'll do it every other year. You know, that sort of thing, it tends to make more sense. So if you're able to get a Greenwood this time, but he can't make it the next time, but you get him the next time, it's this kind of rotating thing where you're like running a late night talk show at this point, trying to book guests and oof.
And that's why, Steve, you are my backup for GameholeCon. I know you'll be there, but if I can get 4 bigger names, I'm jumping on them. But if the day before, I'm going to go, hey, because you and I, remember, I'm helping you hide that body.
Oh yeah, of course.
The couch.
Sure.
Yeah, and because we are good friends.
Dan, you do not need to explain. I totally understand. You have ambitions and you're doing a thing that's very different than what I'm doing, and so it's kind of you to think of me. I'm happy to be your safety school. But
again, I also want you to get, if somebody in the audience goes, oh, I'm going to check out Nibblemancy. Yeah, I like that spell that was he used in that show.
Yeah.
So right now I've got a handful of invites out there still for Gen Con.
That's great.
And hopefully, I've been busy. I'll get back to you. Or, some I will get back to you. And they never get back to me. Please get back to me with a no. Yeah. Would be awesome if you're not part of the show. I can't do it or don't want me or you think you hate me. Because if you hate me,
just say you hate me.
Yeah.
Just send me a note back with a hate. Yeah.
And then I could stop following you on Facebook and pretend we're friends. But, hopefully I'll do, because right now I'm definitely in for GameCon, Gen Con, GameCon. There's no GameCon. Gen Con, GameholeCon, and GaryCon. And I'd like to maybe do 2 or 3 more shows. And I think, if I do 6, maybe let's say if I do 6 shows a year, that's good, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the 6 biggest shows, right?
I
guess that's PAX.
I'm thinking of maybe doing PAX East or PAX Unplugged, putting in for that. Even though it's somebody who's part of that, I asked to be on my show in Gen Con, but they never got back to me. But yeah, so and then hopefully, I also got to work on the comedy side because of the comedians. If I get that going, get a bigger audience, get more of a crowd coming in. The hard part is getting those videos for the clubs, snippets up on YouTube or the TikTok or the X or the Facebook or Instagram for people to see what it is and maybe draw. That's a whole other. When I'm not curled up in a fetal position because so and so won't get back to me about my show, I should be spending that time, making my little 1-minute snippet videos to put up everywhere. But it's hard. That's what we talk about. That is roaming the labyrinth of creativity.
Sometimes it seems like beating our heads against the walls of capitalism. You got something in your hand there.
Oh, I got one of my dragon duckies, rubber duckies. And these will be, I have 3 of them. I got this one.
I saw the picture. I saw some John Kovalik artwork.
This one?
Did you get those commissioned and made, or did you find a vendor who sells those and reverse engineer monsters?
Look at these.
Beautiful.
These are the new. I had regular trading cards for the foul bore, but now these are the new creature collectible cards 1, 2, and 3. And they've got the duck dragon on the front with the great John Kovalik art. Thank you very much, John.
Beautiful.
And then look, they got all the stats and all the info. You can put them in your own game.
That's beautiful.
So and they're going to come packaged like this.
That's awesome. So did you find a vendor who was already making those ducks, or did you take John's designs, or did you reverse engineer?
I found them.
That's awesome. That's what you want. You want to go to like Alibaba or somebody like that and just go like, give me a gross of those things and be done with it. No mold fees, no.
And then I showed them to John. I said, can you do artwork for me on these? And he said, sure, no problem.
Yeah, perfect.
And then I wrote up the little stats for them. And in fact, John ordered cards from me to offer to his patrons later next month. So, so this is again, you can't. Here's the deal, audience. Okay, for the people. I'm talking not to the people who I want to be in my show. Hey, Werewolf. I'm talking about the people I want the butts in the seats to watch the show. You come to my show, I'm giving away stuff like this. I got this. I've got the show poster with the battle map on the back. I've got, look at this. Badge ribbon. Roll for hilarity. We're giving these out. I've got so much crap that I'm giving out to people that come to my show. I've got buttons. I've got stickers. I've got inspiration chips and coins and
catacombs and creators and crap.
Yeah, crap. You come to one of Catacombs and Creators show at Gen Con, you are going to walk away with all sorts of goodies.
Bring a bag.
Yeah, I looked for bags. I almost made bags to give away.
I mean, anyone attending needs to bring like a hand truck.
Though I am only one duck per person.
That's fair.
Per person, because
if they come to the second show, can they get a different duck?
They can get a different one. Yeah. If you bring friends, you can trade. And I'm also giving them away at the Helium show.
You can go to Gen Con and get all 3 ducks.
If you come to all 3 of my shows, you get all 3 ducks. So you got that. Plus you get the poster print and you get the badge ribbons, and I got buttons, and I got, again, stickers, and I've got the inspiration chips, and did you see the new t-shirts I got made?
No.
They're in color now. I've got fantastic new t-shirts, and I'm not going to show you right now because that's the wrong box. That's my box of buttons that I'm got
a body in it.
I've got stuff all over. I need a warehouse, and it's costing me a fortune to make all this free stuff for you, and this con can't get here quick enough, so I stopped. I'm going to make these real quick and see if I can get them in time.
That's awesome.
Because the whole reason I do all this is just to make the merch. That brings me the most joy.
Well, that's beautiful. That's awesome. So you're gonna get your you gotta get your ducks in a row behind you.
Yes, I do. Gotta get my ducks in a row and everything in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this Gen Con will be a fun show. I'm gonna be, if you see me walking around Gen Con, you can get a badge from me, no problem, or badge ribbon, or whatever I have on me. But ducks will be at the rubber duckies will be at the show with the collectible cards from John Kowalik, and I will have these kind of cards, hopefully at every show, featuring a different monster from here on out.
It's awesome. Now you're talking.
These are 3x5 cards, so they will fit fine in your already 3x5 monster card collections of various.
So that's bigger than the baseball card size, right?
Yes.
Good. It's just you can't read the stats on the back of those things.
That's why I did it, and you know what? They're cheaper to make.
Fantastic.
So I think, that's me and Gen. I am Gen, and I still have to write all the adventures for the Gen 3 Gen Con shows.
When do you hit the road?
Wednesday morning. Driving up on the 31st.
On the 31st. So the conventions are this coming week. A week from the next weekend is San Diego. The weekend after that is Gen Con.
Yes.
Wow.
And Star Trek Celebration is the same weekend as Gen Con.
Mm.
So nerds be busy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I've got players like Jim Zub, he'll be at San Diego Comic-Con, and then he's coming to Gen Con to be on my show. That's not why he's coming to Gen Con, but he will be part of my show.
That's great.
At Gen Con. So again, I'm grateful. And I'm going to give every one of all my talent. They get all my freebies and a t-shirt.
That's great.
So yeah, what are you doing, Steve?
Nothing. Just
okay, cool.
Just
listening to me rant and rave about my insecurity.
Yeah. That I'm doing my Lucy Van Pelt, the psychiatrist is in 5 cents.
Good grief.
Yeah, I am. Like I said, it was the 8th anniversary of the Middle Age webcomic was this week. My webcomic's back on its weekly schedule. We recently wrapped up the Kickstarter for the 3rd volume of the Middle Age, which is great. And I'm working on Nimblemancy. I'm hoping to get that out the door, hopefully before Gen Con happens. I'd like to get the PDFs out this month. Minis are in production, and then cooking up the next one. So yeah, I'm continuing to tread water, creating one book after another, and building up my little library of stuff. And so far, so good. I wish I had something more dramatic to say, but no, I'm shockingly content.
Oh, I envy you, Steve.
I have no aspirations. That's what you do. You achieve all your goals by making them things you could like. My goal is to reach my coffee mug, and I am now a total success.
My goal is to nap more often, and I can't.
That's a beautiful goal. That's a beautiful goal.
I have officially reached the age where I can fall asleep in my recliner. I'm that kind of old man now.
It's like, I remember the idea was to go to sleep versus pass out, which is what I do. I lose consciousness. That's what I do. I'm like, I bring my iPad. I'm just typing until I gotta shove it away so I can fall asleep and stop working.
I'm worrying about emails not being returned. But yeah, I am planning. Hopefully, we'll have a new Catacombs and Comedians product out on drive-through before Gen Con as well. So,
oh, that's great. That's
great. Quietly, nothing. It's something that's been in the works. Just no big deal.
Just one more thing.
Yeah, because I just, my dogs wake me up at 5:30 in the morning, and I get a cup of coffee, and I go, "Oh, the rest of the world's not awake yet, so let me stat up another monster to a Steve Musgrave artwork, and hey, I should put these all together and send it out there." So
that's great.
That's what I'm doing, and I'm just hopefully can make a splash and know people like me at Gen Con this year.
It's great. I can't wait to hear how it goes. We're gonna talk next Saturday. I'm not going to San Diego. Are you?
No,
yeah.
I'm never going. I don't know about next Saturday.
Okay.
I honestly don't know. I may be at wit's end.
Fair enough. Ahead of the show. All right. Well, if we don't talk next week, we'll talk the 2 weeks after. We'll get the Gen Con report.
Yeah, definitely have a Gen Con report. Because hopefully it'll be life changing.
Your life's pretty good right now, right?
I will still always make time for you, Steve.
You're a delight. You're a delight.
All right. So again, if you're going to Gen Con, please check out Catacombs and Creator shows.
3 weeks from now, Dan will not be returning my emails.
Lose my email address, would you? And then I do have another show. I got a show at Helium that Wednesday night, 31st at downtown Indianapolis. I've got a show coming at Zany's August 25th, which I'm going to a pool party today with some Zany's bigwigs. So hopefully I'll, have a new promotion I got an idea for that I want to do there and I can tell the world about. I'm still trying to get those back into Huntsville.
You said a pool party?
Pool party.
So there's going to be little ducks in the pool? What are those?
You know what the problem is? They don't really float. They got a hole in the bottom.
Fair enough.
Okay, I'm going to complain about something again. Like I haven't complained.
Before we go, Catacombs and Curmudgeons.
I'm going to put a sticker, Catacombs and Comedians sticker on the bottom here. So, everybody's realized that Sticker Mule is a horrible company, right?
They've misstepped.
I've moved away from Sticker Mule a while ago.
Ah.
And I used another company, which I'm really happy with, and I'm not going to say their name right now because I'm going to complain about them. 3 weeks ago, I ordered the stickers to put on the bottom of here. And it's usually 3 to 5 production, days, and then the ship right away.
Mm-hmm.
After the allotted time, because it's a time crunch thing, because I need these in time for Gen Con, I'm like, hey, checking to see if how this order's gone. It says, it's in production. You will get it's scheduled to ship today. You will get a tracking number. The next day, and then just because it's a time crunch, I'm like, I didn't get the tracking number. Is it? Oh, cut and paste answer from them. It's in production, scheduled to ship today. You will get notified member email.
Oof.
So I let 3 days go. And then I go, and then in my email, I just went outright, your cut and paste answers aren't reliable customer service. Please let me know the status of, I wrote my old man complaining letter. The next person up says, we apologize for the delay. We will, I think they said, we'll refund your money and expedite this,
You'll get the items and they give you the money back.
Yeah. And the shipping and the production company is working on them now. You'll get the tracking number when it's available.
When they said the production company, are they not the production company?
No, they are. The production team. Team. The next day, nothing. Hey, just following up on this,
Right.
So sorry, your order was canceled. I put a new order. We will give you next day shipping for free. They were scheduled to ship Monday. So I will let you know Monday.
Holy cow. And if they come through, will you use them again?
Yes.
Great.
Because here's what I'm thinking. Somebody else mentioned the company how there's been a delay of 2 or 3 weeks with their order, where the companies usually ships within a week. I think everyone's going to them because they're moving away from
everybody else is swamped right now. My social media feed, at least on Facebook, is swamped with ads trying to take their place.
Because I've used this company for all my stickers for the last 1.5 years, 2 years now.
They're good too. I like the stickers you have.
So I will totally use them again. And this is just one hiccup. And I work with shipping industry. I do shipping and from mail orders or online orders. So it happens, and I know and I understand. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't say, hey, what's going on?
Another lesson from today is that the good feeling that someone gets when they place an order with you and you can ship it the next day. Yeah. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
And I'm horrible at that too. So,
well, we'll get better. We'll get better.
But anyway, so so people order your stickers early and follow up on them.
Why are you covering the bottom of the sticker? It looks like there's some other print on the bottom of the duck.
That says where they're from.
Gotcha.
And I want to brand them.
Sure.
I want it to brand them. And it's just my Catacombs and Comedians logo.
Sure. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So no big deal.
I love it.
All right, Steve, I got to get out of here. I got to go to my pool party.
Have fun. Wear sunscreen.
Supposed to thunderstorm here today. Oh, Tennessee weather.
All right,
as always, it's lovely talking with you, my best friend in tabletop RPG industry.
3 weeks from now, you will not be returning my calls. That's all right. I'll put this in the time capsule and play back Sarah McLachlan about how good these days were.
I'll come by your table and throw you a duck at the next show.
All right, my friend.
All right, my friend. I will talk to you later. Everybody out there, thanks for popping in. Thanks for watching this on demand or whatever they call it when you watch it later. May you make all of your saving throws.